All right, so let's get rid of this duplication on here and get us a step closer to what we really want to accomplish by making a special function that I'm going to call render with theme. This is going to basically be a special render function that encapsulates this duplication just so we don't have to ever worry about that wrapper. And so if I copy this and paste this in here, then some parameters that I need that are going to be different between these two functions is basically just the initial theme. So I'll go ahead and take as an options object the theme, and sure, I'll default that to light so I don't have to pass that every single time. And then we'll pass that theme right here, and then we'll just replace all of this with render with theme. We'll ditch the wrapper here, ditch the wrapper here, and hopefully our test still passes. Oh, looks like our test is not passing, and that's because we are defaulting the theme to light, but we're not defaulting this options object to anything. So let's default that to an object. And now our second test is failing because we haven't passed the theme of dark. Okay, sweet. Now we've got it all passing. But what if I wanted to pass a different UI? Maybe we want to make this more general and useful for rendering anything with that theme provider. So I'm actually going to take a UI as my first argument, and we'll cut this out, pass the UI, and then here I'll pass that UI I wanted there and pass the UI I want here. And now I can render any UI with that theme wrapper. But sometimes I want to pass some additional arguments to this render method, and so it would be cool if I could pass whatever additional arguments on top of that wrapper. So I'd just be able to merge some additional options. So what I'm going to do is I'll say, hey, this object not only supports the theme that I have for my particular use case, but also anything else that the render function from React Testing Library gives me. So I'm going to take those options, and now I can forward those options along. And now that would allow me to configure other things, like if I wanted to test the hydration functionality or whatever else I want to do. And on top of this further, let's go ahead and return that value so I could get my container or whatever else I want to get from that return value. So now this render with theme is basically like render, except it has the additional option of a default wrapper and the ability to configure that default wrapper. And what's cool about this is it means that I can call this function and render this easy button and not have to worry about the fact that the easy button has to be wrapped within the theme provider. And in fact, that kind of turns into an implementation detail for this particular component. So in review, what we did here was we took some duplication, put it into a function, and then genericized it enough so it could be a function we could call anytime we want to render something with the theme provider. And we could do this for all of our providers. So this could be maybe not render with theme, but render with providers. And then it could have our Redux provider or Apollo provider or the React router provider or whatever other context providers you have in your app. You just put them all right here in this wrapper. And then you can call render with providers to render any component with all the providers of your app. And then if you need to configure them in a special way, then you can do so with additional options that you can just destructure right here and then spread the rest of the options as regular React Testing Library options.